The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a massive structure of crystalline metal that housed representatives from 200 civilized species. Today they gathered to discuss the newest discovery, humans. Ambassador Zelkith of the Kronar Empire stood before the assembly. His 4 arms gestured dramatically as holographic images of Earth appeared above the council floor. The planet looked small and blue, spinning peacefully in the darkness. This primitive world, Zelkith announced, his voice echoing through translation devices, has finally achieved basic space travel. According to galactic law, we must evaluate them for potential membership. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Vacron delegate, a floating blob of luminescent gas, pulsed with amusement. They still use chemical rockets. How quaint. High Chancellor Morvex, a towering reptilian figure who led the council, leaned forward on his throne. What is their technological classification? Level 2, Chancellor, Zelkith replied. They have nuclear energy, digital computation, and primitive AI. They have barely explored their own solar system. Laughter erupted from several delegates. The insectoid Chither representative clicked his mandibles. Level 2? My ancestors achieved level 5 before we even left our caves. Their biology is equally unremarkable, Zelkith continued, pulling up genetic data. Carbon-based, oxygen-breathing, standard mammalian reproduction. Average lifespan of 80 solar cycles. No natural armor, no telepathy, no regeneration abilities. They are soft, weak creatures. Do they possess any notable qualities? Morvex asked, boredom creeping into his voice. Zelkith paused, scanning his data pad. They show unusual persistence in their historical records. Multiple global conflicts, yet they always rebuild. They are fractured into nearly 200 political divisions despite being one species on one planet. And, he hesitated, they have something they call creativity that seems abnormally developed. Creativity? The Vacron delegate pulsed. Every species has imagination. Yes, but humans dedicate enormous resources to art, music, storytelling, and theoretical science with no immediate practical application. It's quite wasteful. Morvex waved a clawed hand dismissively. A species that wastes resources on frivolous pursuits will never threaten galactic order. We shall place them under protectorate status. They will be watched, studied, and if they prove useful, perhaps uplifted to serve as laborers or entertainers. And if they resist? Asked the Drayan military commander, her scales gleaming under the council lights. Then we shall educate them about their place in the galaxy, Morvex replied coldly. Send an expedition fleet. Make contact. Show them the power of the Galactic Council. Make them understand that they are children playing in an adult universe. The vote was unanimous. Earth would be visited, evaluated, and absorbed into the galactic hierarchy. 3 months later, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the International Space Station when the alarms began screaming. Through the observation window, space itself seemed to tear open. A fleet of 30 massive ships emerged from nowhere, each one larger than an aircraft carrier. Houston, we have a situation, Sarah said, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. Unknown vessels, massive scale, technology far beyond anything we've seen. On Earth, every space agency, military installation, and government headquarters erupted into chaos. This was it. First contact. And humanity wasn't ready. The alien ships moved into orbit around Earth, positioning themselves above major cities. Then, every screen on Earth, every device connected to any network, displayed the same message simultaneously. It showed Zelkith's face. People of Earth, the translation came through perfectly in every language. I am Ambassador Zelkith of the Kronar Empire, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Council. You are no longer alone in the universe. You have been discovered, evaluated, and found to be primitive. But do not fear. We are civilized beings. We offer you a choice. Join the Galactic Protectorate peacefully or resist and face consequences. You have 7 of your days to decide. We shall land in the location you call New York City to begin negotiations. The transmission ended. For a moment, Earth stood frozen in shock. Then the panic began. But in the underground bunkers beneath Washington, Beijing, Moscow, London, and a dozen other capitals, military leaders and strategists began emergency meetings. They had 7 days. 7 days to figure out how to face a galactic civilization that clearly saw them as insignificant children. None of them knew that these 7 days would change everything. Not just for humanity but for the entire galaxy. The aliens thought they knew what humans were: weak, primitive, and easily controlled. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. Day 3 of the countdown arrived. Zelkith's ship descended through the atmosphere, landing in Central Park. The massive vessel crushed trees and monuments, a deliberate show of power. 20 Kronar warriors surrounded the landing zone, their armor gleaming, weapons visible. A tent had been erected for negotiations. Zelkith entered, expecting to see frightened human leaders begging for mercy. Instead, he found 5 humans sitting calmly at a conference table. They wore simple suits. No weapons. No fear in their eyes. "I am Secretary General Maria Santos," the woman at the center spoke. "Representing the United Nations of Earth. These are my advisors. General Marcus Webb, Chief Scientist Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Ambassador James Cole, and Strategic Advisor Kenji Okonkwo." Zelkith's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. They had organized a unified response in 3 days? Impressive for primitives. "You understand your situation?" Zelkith asked, settling his massive form onto a reinforced chair. "We understand you believe you have power over us," Maria replied evenly. Zelkith laughed, a harsh barking sound. "Believe? Human, my ship alone carries enough firepower to destroy your entire civilization. The Galactic Council has 3 million warships. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. You have not even left your own solar system. This is not negotiation. This is education." Dr. Tanaka leaned forward, adjusting her glasses. "Tell me, Ambassador, how many of those 1,000 worlds resisted?" 43, Zelkith said proudly. "All were subdued within solar cycles." "And how many of those species had nuclear weapons?" 21. "Advanced AI?" 15. "And how many," Dr. Tanaka continued, her voice sharp, "had all of those, plus biological weapons, chemical weapons, autonomous drones, satellite networks, and 7 billion individuals who have spent their entire evolutionary history competing against each other?" Zelkith paused. "Your point? You're used to conquering peaceful civilizations." General Webb spoke now, his voice hard. "Species that evolved without major predators. Species that achieved space travel through cooperation and unity. Ambassador, humans aren't like that. We reached for the stars while simultaneously building weapons to destroy ourselves. We have never known peace. War is written into our DNA. Is this a threat?" Zelkith's warriors raised their weapons. "No," Maria said calmly. "It's a warning. You see us as weak because we haven't spread across the galaxy. But you don't understand why. We've been too busy fighting ourselves. Now you've given us a common enemy. You've unified us. And that, Ambassador, is a mistake." Zelkith stood, his massive frame towering over the humans. "Your arrogance is amusing. You have 7 more days to accept protectorate status, or we will demonstrate the consequences of defiance. We will destroy one of your cities. You will choose which one." He turned to leave, but Kenji's voice stopped him. "Before you go, Ambassador, answer one question. In all your galactic history, have you ever fought a species that fought back with everything? A species with nothing to lose and everything to prove? A species that considers dying on their feet better than living on their knees?" Zelkith looked back. "No. Such foolish species do not exist." "They do now," Kenji replied. The meeting ended. As Zelkith returned to his ship, he felt a strange unease. The humans had not begged. They had not offered surrender. They had warned him. Primitives don't warn advanced civilizations. They submit. He sent his report to the Galactic Council. Morvex reviewed it from his throne millions of light years away. "The humans refuse?" Morvex asked, incredulous. "They neither accept nor refuse," Zelkith replied via quantum communication. "They simply stated their position and await our response. Then we shall provide one. Destroy one of their cities. Pick one with high population. Make it catastrophic. They need to understand reality. Chancellor, there's something about these humans. They seem primitive and foolish," Morvex interrupted. "They have no shields, no energy weapons, no faster-than-light capability. They are insects threatening a giant. Carry out your orders, Ambassador. Destroy their city called Tokyo. It has a population of 14 million. That should suffice." Zelkith closed the communication. He looked at the holographic display of Earth. Something in his gut, an instinct honed over centuries, told him this was wrong. But he was a soldier. He followed orders. He commanded his weapons officer to charge the plasma cannon. It would take 12 hours to reach full power. Then Tokyo would cease to exist. What Zelkith didn't know was that every human military satellite had been watching his ship since it landed. They had mapped every external weapon, every shield generator, every power signature. And in underground facilities around the world, humans were preparing something the galaxy had never seen. The countdown had begun. But it wasn't counting down to humanity's submission. It was counting down to the galaxy's biggest surprise. 11 hours after Zelkatha's order, Dr. Tanaka stood in a military bunker beneath Geneva. Around her, screens showed data streaming from every satellite, every sensor, every intelligence agency on Earth. The alien ship's plasma cannon was charging, its energy signature growing brighter. Target confirmed, Tokyo, a technician announced. Weapon at 93% charge. Estimated full power in 42 minutes. General Webb entered the command center. Doctor, is the package ready? Yuki nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. Project Godspeed is operational. We've never tested it at this scale. We've never had an alien warship about to murder 14 million people either, Webb replied grimly. Will it work? The math says yes. The simulations say yes. But theory and reality are different things. Then it's time to find out. Webb turned to the communications officer. Connect me to Beijing, Moscow, Delhi, Washington, London, and Cairo. Full coordination. Screens lit up showing military leaders from around the world. For the first time in human history, every major power was working together, their centuries of conflict forgotten in the face of an external threat. Gentlemen, ladies, Webb began, humanity's about to show these aliens why predators don't underestimate prey. On my mark, we launch everything. Confirmation? One by one, the world leaders confirmed. Nuclear powers that had pointed weapons at each other for generations now aimed them at the stars. Webb checked the countdown. 38 minutes until Tokyo's destruction. Execute Godspeed, he commanded. Around the world, missile silos opened. But these weren't ordinary nuclear missiles. For 3 days and nights, the brightest minds on Earth had worked without sleep, adapting, modifying, and weaponizing every piece of technology they possessed. They had studied the alien ship's energy patterns, analyzed its shield frequencies, and identified its weaknesses. The missiles launched. Hundreds of them. ICBMs, cruise missiles, hypersonic projectiles, all modified with experimental technology. Some carried nuclear warheads wrapped in electromagnetic pulse generators. Others held experimental particle weapons. A few contained nothing but dense metal slugs designed to hit at hypersonic speeds. Zelkatha's ship detected the launches immediately. Alarms blared across the bridge. Commander, his tactical officer shouted. Multiple launches detected from planetary surface. Counting? 300, 400? Commander, they're launching everything. Zelkath couldn't believe it. Impossible. They attack us? Activate shields. Defensive weapons online. Shoot them down. The Kronar ship's point defense systems opened fire. Laser grids lit up the sky, destroying missile after missile. Explosions blossomed like flowers in the atmosphere. But there were too many. And they were coming from every direction. Shields at maximum, the officer reported. Impact in 20 seconds. The first wave hit. Nuclear explosions detonated against the shields, creating spheres of plasma visible from the ground. The shields held but flickered under the assault. Then the second wave arrived. EMP weapons detonated, disrupting the shield generators for microseconds. In those microseconds, kinetic projectiles punched through. Metal slugs moving at 15,000 miles per hour struck the ship's hull. No explosions. Just raw kinetic force. The hull cracked. Air began venting into space. Hull breach on decks 7, 8, and 9, someone screamed. Zelkath gripped his command chair. Return fire. Destroy the launch sites. Weapon systems offline. The EMP bursts fried our targeting computers. The third wave hit. These missiles didn't explode on impact. Instead, they attached to the hull like parasites. Then they fired compressed plasma cutters directly into the armor. Alien metal designed to withstand space battles began to melt. Inside the bunker, Dr. Tanaka watched the satellite feeds. It's working. His shields are down. Hull integrity at 60% and dropping. General Webb allowed himself a small smile. Message to all units, Phase 2. On the ground beneath Zelkatha's ship, hidden among the destroyed trees of Central Park, something stirred. 40 modified railguns, each one built in secret over the past 3 days, suddenly fired straight up. They had been aimed at the ship's underside since it landed. Now they unleashed hell. Tungsten rods, each weighing 500 pounds, shot upward at Mach 7. They struck the already damaged hull like a hammer hitting glass. The ship's belly armor shattered. Internal explosions rippled through multiple decks. Zelkith's bridge tilted. Gravity generators failed. He found himself floating, watching his crew panic around him. All ships, he broadcast to the rest of his fleet in orbit. Fire on the planet. Destroy them. But before his fleet could respond, the sky lit up with new launches. This time, thousands of small drones, each carrying high explosives, swarmed toward the orbital fleet like angry bees. Behind them, experimental laser satellites, hastily deployed during the 3-day preparation period, began firing on the alien vessels. The battle for Earth had begun, and the galaxy was watching in absolute shock. In the Galactic Council chambers, alarms blared. Morvex watched the feed from Zelkith's ship with all 4 eyes wide in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "They're level 2. This is impossible." But it was happening. Humanity, underestimated and dismissed, was fighting back. And winning. Zelkith's ship crashed into the East River. The impact created a tsunami that flooded lower Manhattan. Emergency sirens wailed as millions evacuated. But the alien vessel was down, half-submerged, burning. In orbit, the remaining 29 Kronar ships faced an unexpected problem. They had superior technology, yes. Better shields, better weapons. But humans fought with desperate creativity. The drone swarms adapted mid-flight. When the aliens destroyed them with laser grids, the surviving drones learned and began weaving, dodging, working together like a single organism. Human AI, primitive by galactic standards but unrestricted by safety protocols, evolved in real time. Admiral Zex, the Kronar fleet commander, shouted to his second. "What are these creatures?" "They're using their satellites as weapons," Zex replied, his voice shaking. "They're ramming them into our ships. Suicide attacks." Indeed, Earth's satellite network, thousands of defunct and active satellites, had been redirected by ground control. They weren't weapons, but at orbital velocity they didn't need to be. Each impact cracked shields and damaged hulls. 3 Kronar ships fell from orbit, burning as they entered atmosphere. They crashed in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Sahara Desert. Human forces immediately moved to secure the crash sites. "Retreat to lunar orbit," the fleet commander ordered. "Reform defensive positions." The surviving ships pulled back. From the moon's distance they regrouped. The commander opened emergency channels to the Galactic Council. Morvex's face appeared, his scales pale with shock. "Report. Chancellor, we've lost 4 ships. Against primitives with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. Their tactics are insane. They sacrifice everything. They don't value their own lives. And their technology adapts faster than anything I've ever seen. 4 ships. Morvex stood from his throne. Around him, the council chamber descended into chaos. Representatives shouted, argued, panicked. "You have 26 warships remaining. Each one could destroy a continent. And this, now, sterilize their planet if necessary." The commander hesitated. "Chancellor, the Galactic Accords forbid planetary genocide. The Accords assume civilized warfare." Morvex roared. "These humans fight like rabid animals. If we don't stop them now, they could become a threat. Destroy their military installations. Destroy their capitals. Break their will to resist." On Earth, humanity prepared for the counterattack. In the Geneva bunker, world leaders gathered around General Webb. "They've pulled back to lunar orbit," Webb reported. "We hurt them, but they're regrouping. When they come back, they'll come with everything." President Chen of China spoke via video link. "How long do we have?" "Hours. Maybe a day." "Can we win?" asked Prime Minister Okafor of Nigeria. Webb looked at Dr. Tanaka, who had been working non-stop since the battle began. She looked exhausted but determined. "We bloodied their nose," Tanaka said. "But we used almost everything. Our satellite network is gone. We've launched 90% of our nuclear arsenal. The rail guns are destroyed. They know our capabilities now. They won't be surprised again." "So we're finished," the Russian premier said quietly. "No," Maria Santos spoke up. Everyone turned to her. The Secretary General stood, her eyes blazing with fierce determination. "They think they've seen our full strength. They haven't. General Webb, tell them about Prometheus." Webb smiled grimly. "Prometheus is our ace. For the past 20 years, in secret, the international space agencies have been building something in the asteroid belt. We called it a deep space mining platform. But that was a cover. A holographic display appeared showing a massive structure hidden among the asteroids. It looked like a space station, but its design was all wrong. Too many power generators. Too many magnetic coils. It's a rail gun," Dr. Tanaka explained. the largest weapon ever built by human hands. It uses an asteroid's magnetic field and the station's nuclear reactors to accelerate a projectile to 0.03% light speed. A relativistic kill weapon. The world leaders stared in shock. "You built a planet killer?" Prime Minister Okafor whispered. "We built a statement," Webb replied. "We've only got one shot. The power requirements mean we can fire it once, then it needs 6 months to recharge. But one shot might be all we need. If we can get the alien fleet clustered together." "They won't cluster," Admiral Zhang of China interrupted. "They're not stupid." "No," Maria agreed. "But they are arrogant. And we're going to use that against them. We're going to offer them exactly what they want, our surrender." Understanding dawned across the faces of Earth's leaders. It was a trap. A dangerous, desperate trap. But it was all they had. "Transmit the message," Maria ordered. "Tell them we surrender. Tell them our leaders will gather in Geneva to sign the Protectorate Treaty. Tell them to send their entire fleet to witness our submission." "And then?" President Chin asked. Maria's expression hardened. "And then we show them that humanity doesn't surrender. We show them what happens when you underestimate predators." Across the quantum channels of space the message went out. Earth offered its surrender. The aliens, thinking they had broken humanity's spirit, accepted eagerly. The trap was set. 26 Kronar warships descended from lunar orbit, forming a defensive sphere around Geneva. Inside each vessel, warriors prepared for the surrender ceremony. They expected broken humans, weeping leaders, and submission. They got something very different. The fleet commander watched from his flagship as human transports approached. Small shuttles carrying Earth's leaders. He ordered his ships to maintain maximum alert, shields up, weapons ready. He wasn't stupid. But he was arrogant. "Scan those shuttles," he ordered. "Any weapons?" "Negative, Commander. Only life signs and electronic equipment. They're broadcasting their surrender speech on all frequencies." Indeed they were. Maria Santos's face appeared on every screen. She looked defeated, exhausted. "People of Earth," she said, her voice breaking. "Today we accept reality. We cannot win. We must join the Galactic Protectorate to save our species. I and the other world leaders will sign the treaty. Forgive us." The transmission cut to scenes of humans around the world watching in despair. Crowds gathered in cities, people crying, holding each other. It looked like the end of human independence. The alien commander allowed himself a satisfied growl. "Finally they understand. Prepare landing parties. We'll accept their surrender planet-side." What he didn't know was that every crying human, every defeated expression, every broken voice was an act. The greatest deception in human history. In the asteroid belt, 3 billion miles away, Prometheus Station hummed with barely contained power. Dr. Chin Shi, chief engineer, watched readouts as the station's reactors approached critical mass. "Target locked," he reported to General Webb through encrypted channels. "Alien fleet holding position over Geneva. They're clustered within a 200-kilometer sphere." "Perfect," Webb replied from a bunker 50 miles outside the city. "Distance to target? 2.7 billion kilometers. Projectile will reach light speed relative velocity in 11 minutes. Travel time, 4 hours 17 minutes. Fire," Webb ordered. In the asteroid belt, magnetic coils the size of skyscrapers activated. A cylindrical projectile, pure tungsten coated with ablative shielding, was pulled into the launch tube. Power from 6 nuclear reactors channeled into the coils. The asteroid itself shook with the force. Then, with no sound in the vacuum of space, the projectile fired. It accelerated down a launch tube 300 kilometers long, gaining speed with each magnetic coil it passed. By the time it exited, it was moving at 9,000 kilometers per second. 0.03% of light speed. A relativistic weapon. Behind it, Prometheus Station went dark. Its reactors were exhausted, its coils melted. It had fired its only shot. Everything now depended on that single projectile finding its target in 4 hours. Back on Earth, the surrender ceremony continued. Human shuttles landed near Geneva. World leaders emerged, walking slowly toward a platform where Kronar warriors waited with treaty documents. Cameras broadcast everything. But beneath Geneva in the bunker, Webb watched different screens. Countdown timers. Trajectory calculations. The projectile's position as it screamed through space. 3 hours remaining, Tanaka reported. The aliens haven't detected it. At its velocity and size, it's nearly invisible to sensors until it's too late. Will they have time to dodge? Webb asked. At 0.03 light speed? No. Even if they detect it 1 minute out, they can't move an entire fleet fast enough. Physics doesn't care about advanced technology. Momentum is momentum. Webb nodded. Then we just need to keep them in position for 3 more hours. Maria, can you stall that long? On the surface, Maria and the other leaders were taking their time. Every signature required translation. Every page needed review. They asked questions, requested clarifications, demanded changes to wording. The aliens, suspicious but convinced of their victory, allowed it. After all, what could primitives do now? 2 hours passed. The ceremony continued. Aliens grew impatient but remained in formation around Geneva. 1 hour remained. The projectile entered the inner solar system, passing Mars at tremendous speed. It was invisible to conventional sensors, just a small piece of metal in the vastness of space. 30 minutes. The leaders were signing the final page of the treaty. Maria held the pen with shaking hands. This was the moment. Either the projectile hit or humanity became slaves. 10 minutes. The alien fleet still held position, warriors preparing to take control of Earth's governments. 5 minutes. Maria signed her name. The treaty was complete. The aliens cheered. 1 minute. Deep space sensors on the flagship finally detected something. A tiny blip moving impossibly fast directly at them. Commander, someone screamed. Incoming projectile. Velocity .03 light speed. Impact in 40 seconds. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter. But it was too late. You cannot dodge physics. 26 warships tried to move. Some activated emergency thrusters. Others raised shields to maximum. None of it mattered. The tungsten projectile struck the flagship directly. At relativistic speeds, the impact released energy equivalent to multiple nuclear weapons. The ship didn't explode. It vaporized. Atoms torn apart by pure kinetic force. The shockwave caught 3 nearby ships, tearing them to pieces. Debris moving at a significant fraction of light speed became secondary projectiles, striking other vessels. A chain reaction of destruction rippled through the clustered fleet. In 15 seconds, 26 warships became expanding clouds of superheated plasma. The light from the explosions reached Earth 8 minutes later. Humans around the world, watching the ceremony on screens, saw the sky above Geneva suddenly brighten like a second sun. The alien fleet was gone. Simply gone. For a moment there was silence. Then cheering erupted across the entire planet. Cities exploded with celebration. Strangers hugged in streets. People cried tears of joy. Humanity had won. Against impossible odds they had won. But in the Geneva bunker, General Webb didn't celebrate. He looked at the communications array with growing dread. "Sir?" Tanaka asked. "We won. Why do you look worried?" "Because we didn't just defeat an expeditionary force," Webb replied quietly. "We destroyed it completely. No survivors. And the Galactic Council just watched it happen. They know what we can do now. And they're going to respond." He was right. 3 billion light-years away in the council chambers, absolute chaos reigned. Morvex stood frozen, watching the replay of humanity's weapon. A relativistic kill vehicle. Primitive Level 2 civilization had built a relativistic weapon. "This is impossible," he whispered. "They shouldn't have this technology for 10,000 years. The Vacron delegate pulsed with fear. "They destroyed an entire fleet with 1 shot. 1 shot. And they built it in secret. What else are they hiding?" "We must destroy them," the Chither representative clicked urgently. "Before they become a real threat. Send the battle fleets. All of them. Sterilize that world." But Morvex raised a hand for silence. His calculating mind was working. "No. They built that weapon in secret, which means they've been preparing for galactic contact for years. They anticipated being underestimated. Everything they've shown us, including their surrender, was deception." He pulled up files on humanity, reading quickly. "They call themselves predators. Apex predators. Every species they evolved alongside either went extinct or was domesticated. They eliminated all competition on their planet. And their history." He paused, reading with growing horror. 10,000 years of warfare. They've fought each other continuously with increasing sophistication. They've practiced genocide, nuclear war, biological warfare, all against themselves. They know every form of violence. The council chamber fell silent. Representatives looked at each other with growing unease. "We're not dealing with a primitive species," Morvex continued. "We're dealing with a species that weaponizes everything. They turned satellites into missiles. They modified nuclear weapons in days. They built a planet killer in secret. And they've been fighting versions of themselves for millennia. They don't just know war. They are war. So what do we do? The Drayan commander asked. Negotiate. No. We quarantine them. Immediately. We place a blockade around their solar system. Nothing in, nothing out. We contain them until we figure out how to handle them. But before the order could be sent, every screen in the council chamber changed. A new transmission broadcast on quantum channels across the entire galaxy. It showed a human face. General Marcus Webb. Greetings, Galactic Council, Webb said, his voice calm and cold. My name is General Marcus Webb of Earth. By now you've seen what we can do. You came to our world thinking we were primitives. You threatened us with destruction. You murdered our people. And you learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate prey that's really a predator. Morvex felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Genuine fear. Webb continued. You're probably planning to destroy us now. Or quarantine us. Let me save you the trouble. You can't. While you were watching our surrender ceremony, we weren't idle. Project Exodus launched 6 hours ago. A new image appeared. Dozens of ships, crewed by galactic standards but functional, accelerating out of Earth's solar system in different directions. These are colony ships, Webb explained. Each one carries 10,000 humans, genetic banks, our entire knowledge base and fabrication technology. They're heading to different star systems. You can chase them but you'll never find them all. And in 20 years they'll establish new human colonies. In 50 years those colonies will have children. In 100 years humanity will be on 50 different worlds. You can't stop us now. We're spreading. Panic rippled through the council chamber. But we're not warmongers, Webb said, his tone softening slightly. We don't want to be your enemy. We want to be your equals. So here's our offer. Recognize Earth as a sovereign system. Give us a seat on your council. Treat us with respect. And in return we'll share our technology, our creativity, our adaptability. We'll become your allies instead of your nightmare. He leaned forward, eyes hard. Or refuse, try to destroy us and spend the next 1,000 years hunting human colonies across the galaxy while we develop faster-than-light travel, better weapons, and a deep, burning grudge. Your choice. You have 7 days to decide. The transmission ended. The galaxy held its breath. Morvex looked around at the panicking representatives. For the first time in council history, they had encountered a species they couldn't categorize, couldn't predict, and couldn't control. A species that turned their own underestimation into a weapon. The 7 days felt like 7 years. On Earth, humans fortified their world while simultaneously rushing to complete more colony ships. The message was clear: threaten us again and we'll multiply like a virus across the stars. In the Galactic Council, debates raged. Some species demanded war. Others urged negotiation. The Kronar Empire, humiliated by their losses, wanted revenge. But Chancellor Morvex saw the bigger picture. On the 7th day he made his decision. Against vocal opposition he sent a response. The transmission appeared on Earth's communication networks. Morvex's reptilian face looked older, more tired. People of Earth, he began, the Galactic Council has reviewed your proposal. After extensive debate we have reached a decision. We recognize Earth as a sovereign system. You will be granted provisional membership in the Council, subject to review in 50 solar cycles. You will have a voice in galactic affairs. On Earth, cautious celebration began. But Morvex wasn't finished. However, understand this is unprecedented. Never before has a Level 2 civilization been granted such status. You have forced our hand through violence and threat. Many species will resent this. You will have enemies. But you will also have the Council's protection, as long as you follow galactic law. Maria Santos, now speaking as Earth's ambassador, replied immediately. We accept these terms. But know this, Chancellor. We didn't want to be warriors. We wanted to be explorers, scientists, artists. You made us bare our teeth. Remember that. Oh, we will remember, Morvex replied grimly. The entire galaxy will remember. You've changed everything. 5 years passed. Earth's seat in the Galactic Council became permanent. Humanity proved to be brilliant negotiators, innovative engineers, and surprisingly effective diplomats. Their creativity, once mocked as wasteful, revolutionized galactic arts and sciences. Human music spread across 1,000 worlds. Human literature was translated into 200 languages. Human problem-solving, that unique ability to think sideways when hitting walls, solved engineering challenges that had stumped galactic civilization for millennia. But humanity also maintained Prometheus Station. Rebuilt, improved and supplemented by 6 more stations scattered throughout the solar system. The message was clear: we are peaceful but we are not harmless. Dr. Tanaka, now Earth's chief science officer, stood before the council presenting a revolutionary new engine design. It used principles no alien species had considered, combining human chaos theory with conventional physics. It would cut faster-than-light travel time by 30%. We share this freely, she said, because that's what partners do. We were alone for so long. Now we're part of something bigger. We want to contribute. The council accepted gratefully. Human technology, born from a species that had to innovate or die, was proving invaluable. But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of the galactic political landscape, the Kronar Empire nursed its humiliation. Ambassador Zelkith, who had survived the battle by being on Earth's surface when his fleet was destroyed, plotted revenge from his prison cell on Earth. They think they've won, he muttered to himself. They think they're safe. But the Empire has a long memory. And there are weapons in this galaxy that even the Council fears. 10 years after first contact, humanity had established colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. Earth's moon hosted a massive shipyard where human engineers worked alongside alien specialists, building vessels that combined human innovation with galactic technology. Captain Sarah Chin, who had been on the International Space Station during first contact, now commanded the UES Indomitable, humanity's first true warship built with hybrid technology. She stood on the bridge as her ship patrolled the outer solar system. "Captain," her tactical officer reported, "we're receiving a distress call. Origin, Drain colony world of Vexor 7. They're under attack." Sarah pulled up the star map. Vexor 7 was 3 light-years away, well outside human territory. Under attack by whom? Unknown hostile fleet. They're requesting any nearby council ships to assist. Sarah looked at her crew. Humans and aliens working together. A Vacron navigator, a Chithar engineer, a human weapons officer. The new galaxy learning to cooperate. How long to reach them with our new drive system? 6 hours, Captain. The Galactic Accords were clear. Council members were obligated to respond to distress calls. This would be humanity's first military action as a galactic power. Not attacking but defending. "All hands battle stations," Sarah ordered. "Helm, plot a course for Vexor 7. Maximum speed. Send a message to Earth Command. Indomitable responding to hostile action. May be engaged in combat upon arrival." The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. As the stars blurred past, Sarah thought about how much had changed. 10 years ago, humanity had been fighting for survival. Now they were rushing to save an alien species from destruction. When they emerged from FTL near Vexor 7, they found a massacre. 15 ships, design unknown, were bombarding the planet's surface. Cities burned. Millions were dying. "Identify those ships," Sarah commanded. "Negative identification, Captain. Configuration matches no known species. Wait. Detecting energy signatures. It's Kronar technology but heavily modified." Understanding hit Sarah like a punch. It's not a species. It's pirates or mercenaries using stolen Kronar tech. Probably organized by someone with a grudge against the Council. "Against the Council or against us?" her first officer asked. "Only one way to find out. Weapons target the lead hostile. Communications open a channel." The view screen showed a figure in heavy armor, face hidden behind a helmet. "Unknown vessels," Sarah transmitted. "You are attacking a Council world. Stand down immediately or face consequences." The armored figure laughed. "Consequences? From humans? You may have fooled the Council with your lucky shot, but we know the truth. You're primitives playing with borrowed technology. Run home to your little blue world, human. This doesn't concern you." "Wrong answer," Sarah replied. She closed the channel. "All weapons fire." The Indomitable had been designed by human engineers who understood something the galaxy had forgotten. War is an art, not just a science. Its weapons combined human tactical thinking with alien firepower. Railguns that could adjust their fire in microseconds. Missiles that used human-designed AI to predict enemy movements. And a crew trained in Earth's military academies, where warfare had been studied for 10,000 years. The battle lasted 8 minutes. The hostile ships, expecting easy prey, found themselves facing a predator. Human tactics, honed against other humans, were devastatingly effective against enemies who had never faced such aggressive, creative combat. When it was over, 10 hostile ships were destroyed. 4 had surrendered. 1 had escaped. And the Indomitable had sustained only minor damage. On Vector 7's surface, the Drayan colonists emerged from shelters to see their saviors, a human warship bearing the insignia of Earth. The transmission from the Drayan governor was filled with gratitude and shock. "You came. You fought for us. We thought humans only fought for themselves." Sarah appeared on the view screen, her uniform torn from a minor explosion on the bridge, but her eyes bright. "Governor, we learned a long time ago that standing alone makes you vulnerable. We stand together now. That's what the Council means." The news of Vector 7 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Humanity had defended an alien world. Not for territory. Not for resources. But because it was right. In the Council chambers, Chancellor Morvex watched reports of the battle. He saw human tactical brilliance but also something else: mercy. The humans had accepted the surrender of 4 hostile ships, taking prisoners rather than destroying them all. They could have killed everyone, he said to his advisors. They had the power. But they showed restraint. "Perhaps," one advisor suggested, "we underestimated them in more ways than one. We thought they were only warriors. We didn't see that they could also be protectors." Morvex nodded slowly. "They're not conquerors. They're defenders who had to become warriors to survive. There's a difference." He stood, making a decision. "Summon Ambassador Santos. It's time to discuss humanity's role in galactic security. They've proven themselves worthy. More than worthy." Back on Earth, in the Geneva headquarters of the United Earth Government, Maria Santos received the summons. She looked at General Webb, Dr. Tanaka, and the rest of her team. "They want to give us more responsibility," she said. "Morvex is going to offer us a position on the Council's Security Directorate." "Is that what we want?" Tanaka asked. "To be the galaxy's police force?" "No," Maria replied. "But we can be something better. We can be the voice that reminds them war should always be the last option. We've seen what war costs. We've paid that price for 10,000 years. Maybe we can help them avoid some of those mistakes." Webb nodded. "We didn't want to be warriors. But we're damn good at it when necessary. And maybe that's what the galaxy needs. Someone who understands war well enough to prevent it." Maria prepared her response to Morvex. Humanity would accept the position, but on their terms. They would fight when necessary, defend those who needed protection, but always search for peaceful solutions first. As she looked out the window at Earth, still recovering but stronger than ever, she thought about the journey. From a single planet to a galactic power in 10 years. From being underestimated to being respected. The galaxy had declared humans weak. Humanity had proven them wrong. Not just with weapons and tactics, but with courage, creativity, and the willingness to stand up for others. The stars were no longer distant lights in the sky. They were neighbors, allies, and in some cases, friends. Humanity had claimed its place among them. And the galaxy would never be the same. Epilogue. 20 years after first contact, Professor James Cole lectured at the Galactic Academy on Earth. His classroom held students from 30 different species, all studying human history and tactics. "So remember," he told them, "when the Council asked why humans were so good at war, what did we tell them?" A young Kronar student raised his hand. "You said it was because you had to be. You had no natural weapons, no armor, no claws. So you made weapons. You turned everything into weapons." "Partly correct," Cole nodded. "But there's more. We're good at war because we never wanted it. Every human war taught us the cost. Every battle showed us what we could lose. So we studied warfare not to conquer, but to end conflicts quickly. To protect what we loved. That's the difference between a warrior species and a warlike species." A Vacron student pulsed with curiosity. "And the creativity? Why are humans so creative?" Cole smiled. "Because we had to imagine a better world than the one we lived in. We dreamed of peace while preparing for war. We wrote stories about heroes while training soldiers. We're walking contradictions, and that's our strength. We see multiple possibilities where others see only one path." As the class ended, Cole looked at the diverse students leaving together, discussing tactics and philosophy. This was humanity's real victory, not defeating the Kronar fleet, but opening the galaxy's mind to new possibilities. The Council had expected humans to be conquered or to become conquerors. Instead, humanity had become teachers, innovators, and protectors. They had weaponized their weakness and turned underestimation into their greatest advantage. And across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, humans and aliens worked together, building something unprecedented. A true galactic civilization where every species, regardless of strength or technology, had a voice. The galaxy had declared humans weak. Humanity had proven them wrong. Not through conquest but through courage. Not through domination but through determination. Not by becoming monsters but by remaining human. And that made all the difference.